पैसा तो कमाना पड़ेगा. There has to be some. It's not like my father's going to leave me a petrol pump or like a big
Some
house
kind
or
of
some
big
kind of
legacy.
property or something like that. I said, and he was very clear on that. He said, look, I will have my pension and that's it. I quit my job the next day. I need to get into politics now. Now we have absolutely no political background. Nobody in my last 7 generations has even become the secretary of a housing society. Okay. Dur tak. There is no chacha, mama, mausi, kaka. Nobody in politics.
Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you in another episode of Emotionally Yours With Pratik. With me, I have got a very versatile, very talented, very charming personality today, RJ Sangram Khopade, who's been a friend of mine. A very warm welcome to you, Sangram, on this show,
Thanks,
Emotionally Yours With Pratik.
Thanks. What is this?
This is a small plant.
No, that's self-evident. But what exactly is the flower? Because my wife is very good at identifying, flora, fauna.
Right.
And she's a good spotter as well. I find it very difficult to remember what flower is this exactly.
Correct.
And we actually advise this to a lot of friends who want to keep a pet, maybe a dog or something like that. We tell them, pehle na just get one of these. See if it will survive in your house. So I think I personally have been responsible for genocide of a lot of such plants. Yeah. Unfortunately, I love nature. I love going out in nature, but taking care of a plant is a
different thing.
But maybe I'll do better with this one.
That makes 2 of us, because my wife is a big fan of plants, and we have a small garden. She's been gardening. My mom and my wife, both of them, have been pretty instrumental in making our place green and taking care of various plants. And then she keeps telling me that this is this plant and this is that plant, and I cannot obviously remember because my connect with biology ended in class 10th. There onwards, I do not remember anything. So Sangram, we've been...
Our audience definitely did not miss the gentle flex that you did. Obviously, you live in a city, in an urban area, and you have a garden of your own. So that's called a gentle flex in the...
Credit goes to Anshima. Credit goes to Anshima and my wife, my mom. So, all right. So, Sangram, we've been known each other for several years, almost a decade now. And I have always known you as an RJ, a social activist, somebody who's trying to reform things, somebody who's been pretty instrumental, vocal about, these are the changes that we need in the society, and also have been pretty active on the political scene. All through, the common thread between us is definitely dropping out of engineering, and because of a common subject called engineering drawing. So we both were troubled by ED since then. That ED is a different one though, and after dropping out, I pursued different career path, and then you pursued law, and then you dropped out of the law, etc. How has been the journey so far?
Very exciting. It didn't feel as such when it was happening, obviously, especially dropping out of engineering and not completing your graduation. But so I'll give you a little bit of background. My parents, obviously, they're your biggest influences.
Right.
My father is now a retired IPS officer. Mother passed away 15 years ago. She was a vidushi. She was a scholar.
Okay.
So before her marriage, she had done her BA. After marriage, she did her MA and then her LLB and then a PhD in Marathi literature, women's literature. My sister, my only sibling, did her MBBS, then did her MD in pathology in India, then went to Australia and then did an MD in psychiatry, and also a couple of MAs after that. So couple of MAs after that. So I think, I always knew that this would happen, that she would study so much. I already have parents who are, highly educated. My father's written about 7 or 8 books. I lost count now. I always think that every family should have a limit on how many seats of engineering or, of higher studies they can occupy. And which is why I thought that maybe my family quota is over and I shouldn't. But jokes apart, look, what happened was, I got into computer programming when I was in my 7th standard or so.
Okay.
And I was fascinated by computers. Were just, I mean, this is like the mid 90s India, right?
Correct.
The VSNL connection was some 10,000, TCP/IP was 10,000 rupees or something like that, or 25,000 rupees. But the student account was 500 rupees, you know, and we used to use that and we used to program. I taught myself C, C++ just by going through the books and actually trying things out myself. And which is when I thought that, look, engineering is what I need to do. And that's what everybody told me. So in my family, around me, everybody is privileged enough to get, to be highly educated. So my mama's children, my mausi's children, for example, my kaka's children, they were all getting their engineering degrees. And they all saw this spark in me and they said, oh, you can already program C and C++ in your 9th standard. So you must do engineering. So that was sort of a given that my sister
Career
would
path
do
is-
MBBS and I would do engineering.
Okay.
Of course, my parents thought that I should be doing something called IIT. And then they sort of put me in some classes and whatnot. And I didn't give it much thought. If I had only some kind of self-awareness back then about the fact that even during my 10th standard exam papers, in which I did quite well, I missed that the merit list or whatever that is for the board list by a few marks. But during my exams, I was reading world fiction. I was reading Dostoevsky, for example, Crime and Punishment at that time.
Right.
So if I had just realized, or somebody had told me, boss, if this is what you're doing during your exams, then this is what you should be doing for the rest of your life. Or maybe you need to explore literature a little more than this whole engineering thing. Chalo koi nahi. 11th standard was a disaster because there was something called chemistry. There was organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, and I'm still not sure what they were talking about. Somehow, you know, I managed to rectify a few formulae and, you know, a few things and then scrape through 11th standard. I remember we had German in 11th standard and I hadn't studied German at all. I studied it for one day. Literally, we got together at a friend of mine called Venki's. We got together at Venki's place and Venki sat and taught us German for that one day, and then next day we gave the exam and we passed the exam. So it was quite, 11th was quite, you know, easy sailing-ish. But 12th standard is when I realized that, boss, this is not for me. This chemistry is something I can't do. But everybody said, "Arey chal yaar, itna karke finally you'll get to do what you want to do or should be doing. Not want to, you should be doing. You should be a computer engineer." So 12th standard was a complete disaster. I, you know, barely managed to scrape through your chemistry. I had the highest marks in my whole thing in English. I think in the 80s or something
I can't
like that.
believe how parallel our lives are, man.
But even then, there was no realization that this is not the way to go. So I took admission to engineering because everybody around said that, boss, engineer is where it's at. I even had a conversation with people where I said, why can't I just be a writer? They said, because you'll starve to death. So that was completely out. I mean, this was all on sort of autopilot managed by everybody around you.
Correct.
Ki engineering karna hai, baki kuch nahi. Got into engineering. First day I went for my computer practicals. So back then you'd have computer practicals where you would have a computer once a week.
Right.
You didn't have one in your hand, or you didn't have a laptop.
Correct.
You didn't have your personal, I mean, PC means personal computer, but it wasn't personal for us, right? You could see him or it once a week. I went there. First assignment, I programmed whatever C programming. I made that program in like 3.5 minutes and then told the teacher, okay, I'm done. She's like, what? How? So I said, because I know this stuff. So can you give me the practicals for the rest of the semester? So she took that file out. The programs and all were in a file, in like a physical file.
Correct.
She said, this is the question, this is the problem you have to solve. So I finished the semester. I finished the entire first year in that one first lab session. And I was like, okay, abhi kya karna hai? Like, so now what's next? They said, no, don't worry. Second year you'll have advanced programming and stuff like that. I said, okay, I'll wait till second year. And then I was faced for the first time with ED, which is engineering drawing, lest you think it's something else altogether, either biological or governmental.
It's not.
It's neither of those. So engineering drawing was when I was completely stumped. I've never been so stumped in my life with anything. I couldn't get it. There was something called the isometric view, and I was like, but why? I mean, I can see the object. Uska kya karna kya hai? Drawing, I was told, was never my best suit. So that was a complete. I said, look, I can't deal with this. So I stopped going to college completely, to the engineering, drawing practicals for sure. But even otherwise, I would just turn up to say hi to my friends. And obviously, then I did not pass my first year of engineering because engineering drawing was gone. Applied mechanics, M1, M2, applied science, AppSci, all of these were my favorite subjects. They were dealable, but this wasn't. And that's when I said, boss, ye nahi ho sakta. And I think that's, in emotional intelligence, one of the main things is to be self-aware.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the first time that I was completely aware that, look, this is just not going to happen.
This is not me.
This is not me. And that's when I think my whole journey, my whole career started. When I decided that at age 19, 20, look, you cannot know what you will do for the rest of your life. I mean, very few people will actually know that. What you can sort of pin down is, this is something I definitely will not do in my life or don't want to do in my life. And I think if you start eliminating those things very carefully, then you can sort of set up the rest of your life.
Precisely. You said it right. Self-awareness is the key, as you rightly said. And something common, I mean, even in 12th, one of the highest subjects, one of the highest marks that I had scored was also English. And that is because of I'm sure that has a lot to do with your reading as well, because you read Dostoevsky or Leo Tolstoy, etc. right very early in the in your life.
Yeah.
And these books have been a real influence. In the morning, I was listening to you on air, and I heard about Noam Chomsky. Yeah. Noam Chomsky.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about the influence of media.
Yeah.
So how did this media influence you in the first place? And how did you go into the media after dropping out of engineering and then enrolling for law and then?
So one thing that my father always taught me, or I saw him do as well, is whenever you're thinking about a difficult problem or a choice or a decision, the question you ask yourself is, what's the worst that can happen? Ye karna hai. What's the worst that can happen? Or I don't want to do this. Okay, what's the worst that can happen? Is that worst something that you can deal with? If you can, then okay, that choice is something you could make. So leaving engineering for me was a matter of elimination. I said I'll do anything else, but not engineering, right? So what is anything else? What else can I do with my life, right? So then I made a chart of what are my pros, cons, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and so on. And then I realized that I can write decently well, I can speak well, I love reading, right? But everybody has told me that, look, that's not going to get you any money, at least not a lot of money or not very soon. So then I figured out, so what's the minimum amount of money you need to survive? My parents have given me an opportunity or a timeline. They said till you're 24 years old, you can stay with us. Right? Very atypical of Indian parents, because Indian parents expect you to stay with them till you're 40, 50 or till their last moment. My parents said 24 is where we can support you till. After that, you need to figure out. You need to, make money, get a job or whatever. So I said, okay, how much money do you need? At that time, and this is the early 2000s, it was around the year 2000, it was about 6,000 rupees a month. I said, I need 6,000 rupees a month. Minus the rent, because hopefully I would be able to stay with friends or with family, with parents. 6,000 rupees a month is my total kharcha. How do I make 6,000 rupees a month? So my parents had, I come from a very privileged background, right? It's a fashion, especially in Marathi households, to say that, hum log to middle class, we are middle class. Middle class Marathi manso. I realized that that's a misnomer. I was never middle class. I was highly privileged. We were not rich by any standards. We didn't have money. But my father was a senior IPS officer. My mother a scholar, right? That immediately puts you in the top 5, if not 1% of society. So they had also given me exposure to, and part of the privilege is that, to lots of things. So I played a lot of sport. I had studied the tabla for a good 10, 12 years by the time I was 20 years old. I was trained classically. I was trained classically in singing as well, Hindustani classical. And I mean, certificate I have. I can show you the certificate.
Of course.
Or I can play it for you.
I
It
know
didn't
it
look
for
like
sure.
it didn't. So the tabla part, you were like, But when I said classical singing, you were like,
No. I don't mean that.
So I'm kidding.
The moment you said tabla, the first thing struck me was we both can do a good jugalbandi sometime for sure.
Oh, lovely. You play as well?
Oh, yeah.
Kya baat hai? So I knew the tabla. I could sing well. And you find these things out in college quite often, right? Because you start singing and the girls are all swooning and they are giving you attention. You're like, "Arey, gana to gana padega abhi." So I said, look, what I can do is I can identify some bars in Pune where they already do this kind of like ghazal singing, etc. I can either sing there or I can play the tabla as an accompaniment.
Correct.
Yeah? And I said, that should be able to give me 6,000 rupees a month.
Okay.
Then I will have my entire day free to write, to be creative.
Wow.
So I said, look, this is what I have decided. And then I told my then steady girlfriend as well, look, this is my plan. Asa apnala mala karayachai. And then that's when I realized that, that's when I think the fear left me. Also, one thing will always stay with me when my father told me that the last person to die of hunger, to die of starvation, he said in his village, which is in Pune district, called Morgaon, was in the 1970s.
Okay.
Uske baad,
Nobody
has died of starvation in this country. Right? At least not in Maharashtra, at least not in Western Maharashtra. So you're not going to die of starvation. There'll always be something. Something will be there for you to do. That sort of thinking then gives you courage. What is the minimum that you need? And then can I go after my goals, after my dreams, and so on. So leaving engineering was that, that realization that this is not possible, I can't do this. And then what else can I do? So I had a friend working in Times of India. So I made an entire list of all the things I could do. It wasn't just like one thing.
Correct.
It was like a proper every possible job that's available in this city. Would I like to do this? And then I ranked them and so on. I had a friend working in the Times of India supplement called Pune Times.
Correct.
He was a schoolmate. So Sean had a full-time job. He had also quit college. And he said, why don't you just drop by and meet the editor? So that's what I did. From my Senior Grad College of Engineering hostel room, I got a friend to drop me to Ferguson College Road, where the Times of India office is. Went and met the editor and said that, look, I can write. She said, okay, then why don't you write? And I stole a paper from her printer. So now this is again the year 2001 or so. Back then, there was maybe one printer in every big office.
Right.
In a big office, huh?
Right.
Small offices did not have printers. So I stole a piece of paper from the printer because it was good bond paper and all.
Right.
Sat outside her office and wrote an article, gave it to her, and she printed it the next day. Farida Master was the editor. And then they called me and said, we'll give you 300 rupees for that article. I was like, wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is a way to make a living.
Right.
So that's how media happened. It was essentially I love Excel sheets, by the way. People think I'm a creative person, play tabla, I sing a lot, and I'm funny, witty. But I love Excel sheets. And all of my decisions in life, I put them down in an Excel sheet. Coming here was also part of that Excel sheet, right? Taking out time to be a part of this podcast, I analyzed whether I should be doing this or not. So that sort of then started cascading. After that, I found a magazine on the youth stands called Generation Next, the National Youth Magazine.
Right.
I picked that up, very interested in that. Started going through it, realized it was quite... Can we say shit on your show?
Of course.
Oh, shit. So it was quite bad. And I went and started correcting it with a red pen. Saying, dude, this title doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Or why is there a picture with this article? There shouldn't have been a picture. Why isn't there a picture with this particular article? You should have put this kind of a photo or something. And so on and so forth. A couple of articles I rewrote, saying this is how they should have been written. I tracked down the publisher, Matthew Mattam, who's now a very dear friend of mine, runs an NGO called the Center for Youth Development and Activities. And they were the publishers of that magazine. I went and met them and said, look, this is how you publish a magazine here. Take this. And a few days later, he called up saying, can you edit the magazine? Can you be the executive editor of the magazine? And I'm all of 21 years old. And I became the executive editor.
Quite early and
that was exciting. And then immediately private FM radios were being launched in India. One of the very first ones was coming to Pune.
Correct.
And I went and applied for it. I saw the advertisement. I said, look, I'm already writing for the Times of India. So I have good writing chops. They'll take me as a writer. I didn't even know what sort of job roles existed in the industry. So I went there. They said ki writer aisa kahi nasta ithe. You have to speak on the radio. You write your own script and speak. So I said, okay, I have my script. They said, okay, just read it. And that's it. I gave that audition. There were some 3,000 people in line that day. I stood in the line and
you gave the audition.
Deep Bangla Chowk madhe eka studio madhe tase hota. So I did that. They called me a couple of months later saying, you've been selected, and that's it. And then suddenly they told me that we're putting you on the prime time show. The most prime time show on radio is the morning show, the breakfast show, and you're it. Now
so out of 3,000 people, you were selected there.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
So that's how things happen. I think obviously life is about luck, about being born in the right place. Then having the right connections, having the right network, having the right influences.
Right.
I can talk on the radio now and say, like you heard me this morning talking about Noam Chomsky. But Noam Chomsky padhne ke liye, first of all, somebody has to give you access to that.
Correct.
Right? You have to have parents who've done that for you. So it was a lot of luck, but at the same time, it's also a lot of initiative. So did I find that magazine and go meet the publisher? Yes. Did I go meet that editor of a national newspaper and have the audacity to sit outside her office and write that article and give her, instead of wallowing in self-doubt and saying, "Arey, how will they accept my article?" Or
it's not
what?
possible.
Yeah, it's so difficult. You can't get printed in the paper. So it's that as well. Now, one could argue that having that initiative, being proactive, is also maybe genetic or is also nurture. So if I didn't have the same parents that I did, if I didn't have the upbringing that I did, perhaps I would not have a personality that would be risk-taking, that would be proactive, that would be fearless, would have courage to go out, to put myself out in the world. So it's difficult to pinpoint where you begin. You in the sense, कि अरे मैंने ये किया, मैं हूँ. This is a very, it's always been there, but lately it's been in politics a lot. I'm the one, I did this. So I don't know where whatever happened in my life, how much I was involved and how much of the Sangram that was already created by chance, by privilege.
By the background that you come from. Yeah. Awesome. We spoke about two things, and those caught my attention. One is about fighting your own fears. Okay, overcoming those fears, and half the people are finding it so difficult to come out of it, and they build a self-limiting belief around it. I mean, of course, we all go through some kind of self-doubt sometime or the other, but those do not become our self-limiting beliefs. Okay, you really overcame those self-limiting beliefs or self-doubts. What were the moments, some of them that you have just explained, like whether you'll be selected as a writer, or whether you'll be selected for that particular position in radio, etc. At those times, there are fears and there are self-doubts, and of course, those are interrelated. I'm sure there are many people who still make their fears a limitation.
Yeah.
Okay? Saying that this is not my cup of tea. This is not something that I can do.
Yeah.
Right? Having that creative confidence is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? How do you ensure that these doubts in your life, are the milestones that you look back and say that this is how I have fought these battles, and this will give me energy to fight few more upcoming battles. One of the battles that I know for sure is your social work and social reforms, etc. So how much have these moments of self-doubt, self-limitations, etc. have troubled you?
So let's first understand what fear is. If you believe in scientific temper, if you believe in the scientific method, then you also accept that Darwin and the whole theory of evolution is the right way to go. Now, in an India where Darwin has been taken out of syllabus, he's been taken out of the syllabus in certain NCERT books, etc. You're not teaching Darwin and the theory of evolution to our school kids. Okay, this is where we are. The entire world laughs at us when we do silly things like that. Coming back to evolution, so where do emotions come from? Where does fear come from? So fear is a primal emotion. That's very basic to humans, and that has happened because it was a very important tool to survive.
Correct.
Our brain has evolved over thousands of years of evolution, and that evolution was not in a city like Pune or Mumbai or Delhi or Lucknow or wherever else your audience is, or in the Philippines, for example. They were not in modern context. They were in jungles. They were in
caves.
They were in caves. They were in the jungles. They were in very primitive settings where, if you were not fearful as a personality, right? If you were incessantly risk-taking, then you would die, and you would not have children. The risk of you dying was very high. So I always give this example in my talks and in my training sessions as well. That imagine that I am walking 10,000 years ago or 10 to 20,000 years ago when agriculture was invented for the first time. I'm walking from my village. Sangram is saying, I want to go to the next village because they have come up with something really cool that everybody's talking about, which is agriculture. The fact that you don't have to leave your home, you don't have to go hunt, you don't have to go gathering or anything, just, put some seeds, do some work, and lo and behold. So I want to go and see that place. Now I'm walking through the jungle. I hear rustling in some bushes next to me. Right? Now, which Sangram would have survived? The one who said, oh, hang on a second. I know that there are accounts of 10 people who have gone through the exact same thing from my own village. They have traveled somewhere, they heard rustling in the bushes. Out of them, 3 went to check what it was. 3 of them found lions. 3 more went to check, and 3 found rabbits. So the first 3 died, the other 3, survived. They got a rabbit and they cooked it and ate it as well. And the rest of the 4 said, oh, I don't want to check this. It's probably best not to check. Let me just continue, run or whatever. Now, if Sangram 10,000 years ago had sat down and done the odds, 3 ratio, 3:4, what are the chances of me surviving, etc., I'd be stupid because I would die.
Correct.
Right? So humans would not use rational thought in that sense. Whoever immediately had the emotion of overwhelming fear,
absolutely,
said, boss, isko check agar nahi karna, I need to run out of here, is the one who survived. So fear is very basic, it's very human. If you think that for some reason that because I speak to, my last big speech was in front of 2 lakh people in Shivaji Park. Right? If you think that I don't have any fear, that I don't my throat doesn't dry up when there's a big audience in front of me, that's just not true. It's very primal. My heart starts beating a little faster. There's something that's happening in the stomach. There's a slight knot in the stomach. So everybody feels fear. Now, so that's where fear comes from. That's where all of our emotions actually come from. That's where scientists say that even our morality comes from that. It's evolutionary morality. What is right and wrong depends on how we evolved. So now that you know this is what fear is, then you can deal with it a little better. And again, you have to first think about what's the worst that can happen. Can you deal with that worst?
True.
Right? You also, for fear, have to realize that, look, when you're taking a risk, anything could happen. You calculate the risk. It's called calculated risk for a reason.
Right.
But if you say that what do I want from life? I am okay with having little or no money, right? As long as I can do what I want to do. That something that gives me satisfaction, that helps me grow, etc. If you have that outlook in life, then it's very easy to overcome fear. Keep your needs very basic, and limited. And people, a lot of times think that यार ये बोलने के लिए बहुत अच्छी चीज है यार, आप लोगों का तो पगार इतना होता है, इतना पैसा कमा लिया ये वो. But I've always had that, and I've always lived that. So for the last
So for about 8 or 9 years, I had
the cheapest car in the world. That was my only car. When all of my friends and colleagues and contemporaries were buying Mercedes or these BMWs and Harley Davidsons and so on, I said, no, I don't want to, because it's not like I don't like a Mercedes. I love to drive. I love driving my friends, big cars and all. But I realized that, look, that's going to handicap me. That's going to, keep me back. For the last 7 odd years, I haven't had a car at all. My wife has a car. We share that car. She dropped me this morning to this studio. And went back. Now I will take a rickshaw or a cab back home. So I've been trying to cut down on
unnecessary
on whatever can hold me back.
Correct.
So my way of and this is not a new idea. I mean, it's whether it's if you've read Walden by Thoreau, for example, and what Mahatma Gandhi always said.
Right.
So all of these things are very real for me. So we were talking about ED, the engineering drawing.
Right.
I was very scared of that. I'm still scared of that ED.
Oh, same here.
But the other ED I'm not scared of. Why? Because कुछ है ही नहीं यार. There is nothing that can hold me back. That I can say, अरे यार ये करना है, मगर यार ये इसको जो है उसको खतरा हो जाएगा. I'm trying to cut down on all of
the high stake areas.
Yeah.
All right. I remember a very famous quote by Warren Buffett, which says, okay, if you keep buying things that you don't need, you will sell everything that you need. Okay, so keeping your needs minimum, facing the fear, looking into the eyes of the fear and taking it on, which is very basic, saying that I have got my survival mechanism.
Yeah.
I know that even the worst can happen. Okay, and what worst can happen if I'm prepared for it? Well, that solves a lot of things. That's an awesome perspective, Sangram, that you have given us.
Thanks.
Another one that I would like to talk about is what really prompted you to be, of course, we talk about empathy in emotional intelligence. What really made you to go for social reforms and social work?
Right.
And social
okay, first of all, let's
activities?
stop calling it social reforms, because then suddenly one halo comes around my head a social
No,
reform.
in fact, it is. In a way, even to think about it at the place where, your friends and family, etc. These days, everybody is talking about getting luxuries and getting A, B, C comforts of life. You've started thinking about how can we really transform things at the basics. And
but then again, that again is a privilege. So it comes from having parents who are the way they are, right? Like my father fought for reforms in the Indian bureaucracy while he was in service as well, and after that. He fought to get Hindus and Muslims together. The whole Mohalla Committee concept is something he started in the late 80s in Bhiwandi, which is a city near Mumbai, which was always plagued with Hindu-Muslim riots. So we have that. But I am also a person from Maharashtra, as a Maharashtrian, as a Marathi Manus. We have a tremendous legacy of all this happening, and not just in the freedom movement, and everybody knows about that. But think about it. In the mid 1850s, there was somebody called Savitribai Phule,
right,
who said, and Arthat Mahatma Phule, who said that girls and women should get educated. We are still saying that today. I mean, we still have to tell people that, "Arey yaar, let the girl child, get educated and let her do higher studies, let her, get a job and so on." But these guys thought about it and implemented it in an adverse condition when in that India it was unheard of, right?
True.
And they didn't just say, "Ki, this is how my India should be." They did it, right?
They led by example.
Led by example. Even before that, so my city of Pune was was started by the founder of this city is called Rajmata Jizau, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's mother. So imagine I come from a city which was founded by a woman 400 years ago. How many cities can say that?
Yeah. True,
So my city, my state, we're standing on the shoulders of giants. And if those are the levels that they reached, then it's normal for a Marathi Manus to think about, what more can we do? What are the issues? How can we change them? What's going wrong? And my whole job, as whether it's a radio presenter, whether it's a columnist, or it's the TV show that I did, all of my political work, my NGO, my social work, is about, I think I am an interpreter of the times. So this is what's happening. This is where the audience is. And there is a gap between what's happening and what the audience is understanding. And why is that? Because, they have full-time jobs. They have responsibilities. They don't have the time or the energy to understand every issue in depth. I think it's my job to bridge that gap and say that, boss, this is what you think is happening, but that's not what's happening. I mean, that forward that you got on WhatsApp is wrong or is half-truth. Or what this politician is saying or this religious leader is saying, that's not entirely accurate. Look, here's another perspective I can give you. So that's my job. And the more you take that your job and yourself seriously, the more you realize that, boss, if not you, then who? And if not now, then when?
Right.
And that is what sort of drives me.
I remember we spoke some time back and you mentioned that 2002 Gujarat riots really shook you up, and then you decided to be politically active in those areas because those are the fundamental areas of the society that you wanted to work on. And, that again talks about, a kind of discomfort that it causes you at an emotional level, and then you transcend it into this. And then you also mentioned about Sam Pitroda, coming in connect with him, and then talking as something to do with political strategy and fundamentals of change. So when did you realize that this is something that is kind of disturbing you, and from that disturbance this is the path that you are supposed to take?
So I realized at about that time, 2000, the year 2000 to 2002, that what you call smart people or intelligent people may not necessarily be so. So you think that a doctor or an engineer, professional, ज्याला आपण उच्चभ्रू, उच्च शिक्षित मराठीमध्ये म्हणतो, these people are people that you look up to, like a CEO of a company or highly educated. Oh man, I started realizing that these guys are not very smart. Not all of them, but a lot of them are not very smart in terms of certain aspects of life. So you can have a brilliant programmer or a brilliant writer, orator, accountant. You realize that they don't understand certain aspects of our society. They seem to have very extremist views on caste, on religion and nationhood. And I was quite surprised at the kind of people that I was meeting, because what happens is you're brought up in a certain echo chamber. Because my parents obviously had friends who are very liberal, very progressive, very intellectual. I thought that is how the world would be.
Whole world is.
It wasn't like that. And when 2002 happened, is when I realized that this is something dangerous. I have lived in Bhiwandi for 3 years. We lived in a society, since my father was posted there.
Correct.
In a housing society, where I think our flat was the only non-Muslim household in that entire society. And all of my friends were, whether it was Dabbu or Adil, they were all obviously Muslims. And then in 2002, I said, look, this is not my India. My India is about Hindus and Muslims and Sikhs and Christians all living together. And I saw the danger that we would, I'm not saying at 2022, I'm not saying I was like, oh man, look at, I'm a clairvoyant or something, no. But I saw that this is not right. I mean, it's not.
There's something which needs to be fixed.
This needs to be, dealt with. And then I asked my father, how do you change the world?
Oh.
So upper middle class Marathi household, we're sitting, it's a Sunday morning, he's reading his newspaper and having chai. So I asked him this question. He puts his paper down, looks at me and says, well, there are various ways to do it. One is to be part of civil society, which is start an NGO or a movement or something like that. Or you can be part of civil services, which is what he was.
Correct.
Like me, he said you can give the UPSC, become an IAS or an IPS officer and effect change. Or media is a great way to change things, and you're already in media. Right?
Correct.
So these are the three things. But if he said, if you're really serious about changing the world, then politics is the only way to go.
And he put his paper back and continued reading.
And having a chai. He probably thought that this is just one more of an intellectual discussion that we have all the time.
Right.
I quit my job the next day.
Oh.
I quit my job the next day and I said, I need to get into politics now. Now, we have absolutely no political background. Nobody in my last 7 generations has even become the secretary of a housing society.
Okay.
Dur tak. There is no chacha, mama, mausi, kaka. Nobody in politics. I mean, in fact, my grandfather was, a very small farmer, very small holding farmer. He used to, as a youth, he would do work for seasonal work for hamali karne ka kaam he has done. Ek bail lo, fir usko wapis becho, kind of, that kind of a completely illiterate, uneducated. My father's generation is the first generation that actually went to school. So we come from a very basic Marathi background. So there was I had no clue what politics is or how it works or what do you do. But I said this needs to be done and this has to be explored. If not now, then when, boss? Explore to karna padega. And that's when I did that. I spent a couple of years working in the youth wing of the Congress party and learned so much, heard so much, saw so much. I was so naive that I thought that as an office bearer of the party, of the youth wing, I will get a stipend or a salary. And when I realized that aisa kuch hota nahi hai, I was like, how do I survive? What do I do for money, dude? They said, well, you can, do admissions in certain colleges as a youth leader,
Indirect ways.
I said, I can't do that, man. Then what's the point? I might as well go back to the private sector and do this. So but I had some savings from my first job, and I continued till the 2004 elections. And that's when I was like, okay, now it's getting really difficult. Yeah. Paisa to kamana padega. There has to be some. It's not like my father's going to leave me a petrol pump or like a big house or some kind of property or something like that. I said, and he was very clear of that. He said, look, I will have my pension and that's it. And then 2005, my mom passed away. So my dad was posted in Bombay, then Bombay, Mumbai, and I had to go and basically live with him because he was alone. And I said, okay, I'll go back to Mumbai and start working again in the radio industry. Then I started working in radio in Mumbai. Then I started writing for Sakar and the Midday and so on. And then I got the opportunity to be a talking head on various TV channels. So I was on CNN, IBN, NDTV. I was on MTV. One of the first reality shows. Was something called On the Job.
Okay.
And I was one of the judges on the very first episode, I think, first or second episode.
Oh.
So Bharat Dabholkar, me and Tarana, my colleague in the radio industry. So,
by the way, Bharat is my ex-boss.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I worked
nice.
with him in Zen Communications.
Oh,
right.
So he was the main judge, and every episode would have a different judge because it would be different industries. It was something to do with internships and on-the-job kind of work. So I got a lot of those opportunities as well. But politics kept pulling me. The more you work in the media, the more you realize that there are limitations to the work that you can do in media. Unless, of course, you're incredibly talented and you are such a master communicator that what you say, what you write actually makes a huge difference. But as a youngster, I kept thinking, I want to do something. Like I want to affect actual change. And I know politics is dirty, but unless you get in the muck, you can't clean it. You can't keep standing outside and say, "Arey ganda hai, ganda hai, ganda hai." Somebody come and clean it up.
That somebody has to be you.
So I said, ki, why not? If not, again, you then who? So that's how, I would write to a lot of people and wrote to Sam Petroda. He replied. He introduced me to Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who was then the General Secretary of the Congress. I went to Delhi. I worked a couple of years there. Came back to Pune saying, I want to do something more electoral. I don't want to be behind the scenes. I want to be actually the guy who stands there and asks for fights the election and so on. So that's been so it's been a parallel track for me where for the want of resources I couldn't do politics full time, but I'm also glad that that's how things panned out, because my radio journey from 2011 up until last year 2024 was incredible. Right, I approached my job saying, boss, this year is my last year on radio.
Every year.
And people say, kya ho gaya iska? Do you remember the film Anand?
Oh,
Zindagi? No, nothing like that. Last year on radio means that either the radio station I'm working for will shut down, or they will shut me down, or there'll be the next generation of radio presenters who will be much better than me.
Okay.
And that should happen. No? That will happen. So I won't be relevant anymore. So jo bhi karna hai, whatever is left to do in your career, in your domain, let's do it this year. So I've been pushing the envelope every year, saying let's try something new, let's do something new, let's push it and see. So I'm quite happy that panned out as well. And of course, last year I asked the Congress party for the Lok Sabha ticket from Pune. Didn't get it, obviously. But amazing experience. I mean, the kind of love that I got from Punekars was phenomenal. Not just because they know me as their RJ Sangram Khopade from every morning on the radio for the last 23 years now, but also because they realized that I'm the only one who's talking about the issues that matter.
True.
The only one who's talking about what's your plan for the city of Pune? What's your vision? What's your blueprint? Where are the studies? What is the real problem? If you're making this road, do we need this road? Do we need something else? Why is it taking long? Should it have taken longer so that you could have given better quality? So I put out a 150 page document called MH 12 चे 12 कसे वाजले.
I read that.
Which is essentially MH 12 के 12 कैसे बज गए. Very difficult to translate into English because it's a play on words.
Right. So MH12 is the RTO code of Pune.
Yes.
To be more precise.
Yeah.
I mean, for our audience, I'm just decoding it.
Yeah.
And MH12 is the code of Pune, and 12 Wazle is like it has gone for a toss.
Yeah. How we screwed up Pune is what I did. I walked across Pune, the length and breadth of Pune. I started something called the Pune Jodo Nyaya Yatra.
Right.
Again, another initiative where a lot of people ask me, wow, how did you get to, it's the Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra, but how did you get to call it Pune Jodo Nyaya Yatra? Who gave you permission? How do you... I said, I asked myself, does this make sense? Is it right?
Yeah.
Am I being honest? Is it full of integrity or not? Am I doing it for some ulterior motive? No, it's a good idea. Pune Jodo Nyaya Yatra, let's do it. Again, the whole idea of taking initiative. So I did that and didn't get the ticket. Am I allowed to be a little snide on your show?
As candid as possible.
So the person that they gave the ticket to lost the election, which is fine. Losing is there's nothing wrong in that. Then he lost his own MLA seat, which he was a sitting MLA, which is also absolutely fine. But then left the party.
Oh, he switched the sides.
Yeah. So I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Marathi mein hasawa ki radawa mala kalat nahota. Because at one point you're like, man, how could you do this? And the other time I was like, I told you so. I told you so.
He's going to be this way.
I told you so. And the last year and a half, 2 years has been very exciting. Many highs, many lows. But really, what fun. You should...
Right.
The Chinese have a proverb that says, instead of saying, Ayushman Bhava, or
may
whatever.
you live in turbulent times.
May you live in interesting times.
Interesting times.
May you live in interesting times. And I think that's another thing that I really crave a lot.
Okay, that's quite interesting. So, now you've got an NGO and, my another question is, during your stint in media, etc., there are a lot of female colleagues, because these are industries which are really, dominated by females, etc. I mean, the considerable presence of females. What's your opinion about emotional intelligence in male versus female? How do they express? Are they equally emotional, or are male more emotional, or what is it?
So
I did
a lot of interesting campaigns around men and women, feminism, and patriarchy on the radio over the years. Patriarchy is one of my favorite topics because it really pisses some people off when I talk about Pitru Satta.
I heard one of the statements that you made during your during your radio show on patriarchy was, how can you say that Yalami Bahin Dili? Yalami Mulgi Dili?
Yeah. So one show that we did was about, I called it Chalati Ka Naam Gaadi. Not Chalti Ka Naam Gaadi. Chalati Ka Naam Gaadi. And I asked a simple question on the radio. Who's a better driver? A man or a woman? So obviously people called up overwhelmingly said, of course, women can't drive. Yeah. Come on, yaar. Sangram, come on. So I said, okay, let's now deconstruct this. What do you mean can't drive? Let's define, what is a good driver? Is a good driver somebody who gives you hull? Who aggressively overtakes you? Is somebody who brake checks you because you honked at him or something? Is a good driver somebody who comes from the wrong side? Is a good driver who drives over the speed limit? Because overwhelmingly these things are done by men. What is a good driver? Is a good driver somebody who
follows the rules?
Because you cut him off, rolls down the window and gives you choice, maa behan ki gaali hai, or comes out of the car and threatens you physically. Is that a definition of a good driver? Just because some women or girls put their feet out 10 seconds before a man would when on a bike, right? When they're 10 seconds before stopping, men will stop and then put their feet down. Women will do. Some women will do.
Yeah.
Does that make her so bad? Just because she doesn't take off fast from the signal, is that bad driving compared to what we were talking about the men? And suddenly people's minds are blown. Like, oh yeah, we need to actually
breaking the stereotype.
Yeah, we need to understand our basic definitions of what a good driver and a bad driver is. So that's when I realized that when we say that women are more emotional, and we don't say that in a good way, right?
We talk about the expressions of emotions.
Extreme emotions. Right? They get very, very good. They get very emotional. Yaar, I don't know how to manage my team. Yaar, I have 3 girls in my team. A man will say, "Arey yaar, kabhi bhi emotional ho jate hain, to I got it. Yaar, what is this?" Again, we need to define what emotions mean. Now, tell me, how many women in a fit of anger have murdered people versus how many men have done that? How many times have you seen men in a fit of anger hitting each other versus how many women? So are you telling me anger is not an emotion? If anger is an emotion, then suddenly men become far more emotional than women. On a balance, of course you'll have to do scientific studies for this, but a observational, anecdotal
aspect.
Qualitative sort of observation we can do. I am a big believer in numbers, and also I want people to share numbers with me saying ki exactly how many men and how many women get angry or emotional and so on. Now, why are men not emotional? Because our definition of emotion is not anger. It's only being sad or expressing crying, right? Now, why are men not crying? Like I personally cry a lot. I see a good movie. I see a great scene in a movie or in a series, or if I'm reading, or not just sad sort of scene. If I read a beautiful poem, right? If I read something about that somebody made a big sacrifice. Right? I was watching a documentary on Obama. His photographer, the White House photographer, has done a documentary which you must see, where he's talking about how he's a photographer and how he's taken certain moments from this thing. So when Obama became the first Black American president, there are photos from that time from the audience, and there are people who are saying, look, and that photograph says basically, this is what it emotes, that I can't believe that this has finally happened, that a black man is a president of America, right? that brought tears in my eyes. What a moment, man. So I'm a lot like that. But why are most men not crying? Because that's patriarchy. Patriarchy is not man versus woman. Patriarchy is that system versus men and women.
True.
Because it keeps women in stereotypes, but it also keeps the man in stereotypes. Saying you can't cry as a man. You can't be soft as a man. You can't be feminine as a person. So these are basic problems that we have in our entire system. So I think that just the way we have to fight the caste system, just the way we have to fight religious bigotry, which is to say that my religion is better than yours, or just because you're of a certain religion, this is how you always behave, right? That kind of thinking. We have to fight patriarchy as well. And we have to stop telling lies about women are like this or men are like that. It's a spectrum. And most of our behavior is defined by the system.
True.
So it's the system that affects people. It's not when people don't affect the system as much as
the system affecting you.
System affects everything. I mean, most of our human behavior, we may think that we are something special, that we have a soul, we are something, the brain, and this, the prefrontal cortex and all that. But boss, 99% of people behave in a certain way if the system manipulates them. And this has been scientifically proven.
Absolutely.
There are things that we can do to your surroundings that will make you behave in a certain way. Of course, when I say this 99% of the people, now 99% of people think that they don't fall in the 99% of the people.
And they don't know.
So now in this room where we have, the camera crew,
Correct.
We have the director, we have your team here as well. If I ask them, how many of you are below average drivers? Below average. You're all
Here.
average or up. So you're
Below average.
below average. 1% below average. Yeah? But how is that mathematically possible? How can you all be better than average? In any diverse given room, you ask this to 1,000 people in a conference. Hardly one or two hands will go up saying, but how is that? But definition is average.
What is the average?
Average क्या हो गया तुम्हारा? Right? So we think that none of this really affects me.
Right. So then with this effect, you started with your NGO. I would want to understand, because this show is also hosted by our NGO, Quantum Foundation. And it all started with this Mission 1 Million, which all started with one incident where the emotions were blown out of proportion and a person drove the PMT bus in the opposite direction, almost killing 8 or 9 people. Santosh Mane. And this is what it triggered me to start with Mission 1 Million. Now, what are the missions or the projects that your NGO is doing in various aspects?
So, we have a Section 8 company which is an NGO called the Sangram Punyasati Foundation.
Correct.
So, it's the Sangram for Pune.
Correct.
Sangram is holy struggle. So the holy struggle for Pune. It's not an ego trip. My name is attached to the foundation because I'm a known name. So that helps getting funders, that helps getting people aware of the work as well. Why did we start an NGO? Look, I realized that politics is the most important tool. Absolutely. But politics doesn't have to be only electoral politics, because electoral politics is like a lottery. We have fantastic and great leaders, 1,000 times better than me and more qualified than me, who have not either fought a Lok Sabha election or an election, or have fought and lost. Right? So it doesn't matter how great you are or how cool you are or whatever. You may or may not win an election. You may or may not get the ticket itself. And I've known that forever. So my politics has always been about mudde, about issues. So patriarchy, for example, that I keep talking about, that is part of my politics. That is the change that I'm trying to
drive.
Hindus and Muslims should come together and we should at least understand each other. To meet up, understand what your dreams are, what your aspirations are, what your expectations are, what your fears are. And it turns out that, yaar, mera jo hai, wahi usi ka bhi hai. वो आदमी है यार. For example, there's a concept called race.
Right.
these are blacks, these are whites, these are Asians, these are browns, etc. But science doesn't recognize race. There is no such thing as race, right? This word that we use very casually and what. There is no difference
in a caste
biologically or anything physically between these different races and people, except the skin color or slight genetic variation. That's all. So that's my politics, to say that, boss, we're all the same. Let's just hang out and figure out why we are fighting, why we are being made to fight.
And what are the real issues? So I realized that I need a vehicle
to do actual work on the ground, which is why this foundation. Now, what our foundation does is we work with the Vastis, which is the slums of Pune. There are 563 slums in Pune. Can you imagine that? 563. The corporation recognizes some 350 odd, but there are actually almost 600 slums. And 45 or 48% of Pune lives in slums. When you say Punekar, what comes to mind? Who is a Punekar? Punekar is somebody who lives in the Pates or on Prabhat Road, who speaks a certain kind of Marathi, right? Has a certain kind of accent, has a certain kind of attitude. But that's not true. Half of Pune is in slums. So how do you reach the youngsters in these slums? And what are they up to? What are they thinking? What's happening in their lives? How can we help? What can we do? That's the basic thought behind Sangram Pune City Foundation. So we hang out with youngsters, we try to understand what their issues are, what their plans are in life, what is their outlook towards life. And then we try to figure out, are there certain high potential, highly talented youth in these slums, and then what can we do to make sure that certain obstacles are cleared from their past, that they get a slight leg up. They are able to use
a support system,
our networks to expand their horizons. So that's the work that I'm doing. It's incredibly fulfilling
awesome.
work. It's a lot of fun. I'm more often than not wrong about things. This is another, like, being self-aware as an emotionally intelligent person. I realize that I am wrong about things very often. You would think that I've been doing a radio show for 23 years, and every morning I have a different topic that I put out.
Correct.
You would think that Sangram will know कि अरे ये अगर 4 topic है, so which one should he take on the radio today? Because dude, he's the expert in this, right?
Correct.
But I'm very wrong.
Oh.
So I think that if I take this topic, it'll be a hit. People will the lines will not stop ringing. But if I take this one, then nobody will call or nobody cares. I'm wrong often about that.
Okay.
Right? So when I go out to these slums and hang out with these kids, I also realize that there are so many assumptions that I have made about them, their lives.
Correct.
And I'm so wrong. And the day you're happy to be wrong, because obviously you were holding a misconception, जो अब दूर हो गई है ना, because of whatever happened here. So don't feel bad that you were wrong. And the day that you're ready to accept publicly that you were wrong and that you can be wrong, in spite of being an expert or whatever in the field, I think that also frees you up a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with that. When I first read My Experiments with Truth by Mahatma Gandhi, that was the first thought that came to my mind, that somebody who calls himself as a leader, or somebody who, now there are different notions of leaders, saying that a leader can never be wrong.
Yeah.
Right? But then,
well, he can be wrong, but he should never accept that
he
he's
should
wrong.
never accept that
He should
he's
never
wrong.
say. Yeah.
Right. And here is a man who not only accepted all his follies, he's written clearly about it and let the whole world know about it, that he was wrong and he's confessed that. So wish you a very, very fulfilling, change-making career.
Thank you.
Sangram, for this.
Thank
and
you.
I'm sure I would also like to be a part of it,
Oh, absolutely.
as much as you are part of Mission 1 Million.
Yeah.
All right. And we, on that note,
Sorry. One thing I have to plug, since I come from the media background.
Please.
Audience दिसलं की गर्दी दिसली की लगे जाहिरात करून घ्यायची असते.
Please go ahead.
There's another project that I'm doing, which is मला वाटलं इतना पैसा में इतना ही मिलेगा and तू लगेच बंद करायला लागला.
नहीं.
So the project is very interesting. I've been doing training for a lot of corporates and colleges, right? It's fun when you go to a corporate They give you tons of money.
Right.
You speak for a couple of hours or an hour or so, 2-4 lakh रुपए ले लिए, अब घर गए, you are happy. Then after some time I realized that, but here's the problem. People in these corporates, in the big cities, they're already exposed to the world. They have the tools, they have the awareness and so on. But what about the youngster, especially Maharashtrian, because all of my work is in Marathi. My radio show is in Marathi. My writing is in Marathi as well. And I work with Marathi people, obviously, because I'm here. So what about the Marathi youth who come from smaller towns or from the vastis of bigger towns and cities? They don't get the kind of exposure that these guys do, right? And there's always a complaint by industry people or employers about Marathi youth saying, our Marathi youth is not as confident as, let's say, from the north or even the south.
Right.
Their confidence कम है इनमें, थोड़ा confidence बढ़ाना चाहिए, presentation नहीं है. So I've been working a lot on developing these courses where we are teaching the Marathi youth, and not just youth, but even middle-aged people and women and so on, but how to increase their confidence level. What does confidence actually mean? How to do a great presentation, not like a PPT presentation, but how to present yourself, how to communicate well. So I've put together that, all of those courses, and hopefully by the time this airs, it'll be out. So you can look it up everywhere on social media. RJ Sangram Khopade is where I'm at on Facebook and Insta and so on.
Right.
That is something I'm really, really excited about. That taking the knowledge of the world, the cutting edge stuff, whether it's critical thinking that Daniel Kahneman has written about and gotten a Nobel Prize for. Why shouldn't my Marathi youth from a Jalgaon or Jesuri know about it and learn about it, right? I want to teach that. So we're teaching that through this whole new endeavor.
Awesome endeavor. I must say that, and definitely I'm in for anything that I can contribute.
Thank you.
And our foundation can contribute towards it. So on that note, wishing you a very, very bright future for all your projects, and it was awesome talking to you. Indeed a pleasure. And at the end, we have a small tradition. Here, the guest who comes is gifted with a mug, which is signed by me. And there's another mug that the guest gifts me back with his autograph.
Oh, nice.
So may I have them, please?
Do the bank sign. That'll be a good gift.
I have only one signature, sir.
क्या बात कर रहा है?
Not different.
Let's not show it to people then. Thank you.
Can we have?
Oh, it has my photo as well.
Yes.
Super.
That's yours.
Pula Deshpande,
right.
One of the tallest Marathi people in the world.
Right.
Or one of the greatest Indians in terms of humor. And he once said when a kid was asking him for an autograph, just like this, he said, "अरे तुझं अक्षर एवढं छान असताना दुसऱ्यांच्या स्वाक्षर कशाला घेतोस?"
So, in fact, my handwriting has been terrible since school days, college days, and it has even gone worse. And drawing was even worse. So I was literally an outstanding student.
Standing out. हा फार वाईट होता. Please keep this last bit of so-called joke in the video. Thanks, buddy.